I kept thinking over and over again, I'm going to go back to the sports analogy, right? And we all know, because we all came up through marketing, you and I, it's one of the areas that everybody has an opinion on. So you could have the CRO has an opinion, the CEO has an opinion, the CFO has an opinion, COO has an opinion, everybody has an opinion. But on the football team, you typically don't have an offensive lineman coming and telling the wide receiver what to do. There is a mutual respect for the individual roles and the expertise that everyone has developed and the reason why they're on the team to begin with. And what I keep thinking about, you talk about trust, you talk about respect, you talk about communication, right? You talk about how we play together as a team. And you and I put a halo over that. You said it was so important. You talked about the company culture. And tell me what you mean by company culture and why that ultimately impacts execution and growth in what we do.
One, let's start with the first comment that you made. And it's an interesting one. And I think I was talking with a leader, a partner at McKinsey last week. And one of the things that we were talking about was this difficulty or the challenge that I think that marketers just have in general, because for whatever reason, whether it's many people having an opinion that they think they're a marketer, it really is a discipline. Or I don't know, maybe it's just easy to potentially blame, or where you kind of don't have accountability with the other groups that are responsible for the things that they're responsible for. And the one thing that I had mentioned to you is I said, there was never a time when I was in a meeting with Larry ever. And I don't even remember this happening at IBM, to be honest with you, where there was a one team was used as the excuse for some other team not doing what it was supposed to do. For example, I can't put my shoes on and go outside because you didn't sit the shoes on the floor for me to put them on. And it's like, don't you know where the closet is? I think we all know where the closet is. Not my job to put the shoes in front of the door before you walk out. Like, there has to be some self sufficiency here. And that's what I think it means to really have accountability. We are trusting, particularly in technology, we are trusting that the product that we have built is the product that we say it is, that it does what we say it's going to do, that it has the features that we tell people that it has, and that it's going to work the way that it's supposed to work. And even if it didn't, let's say 72% of that is true. And so 28% is kind of like, you're still like me as a marketer. I'm not necessarily blaming the product team. I have to figure out, like, what do I have that I can work with in order to put the offer, the solution in the marketplace. And I'm going to really talk about what the attributes are that are the things that people will find useful. And that is what is my job to do. It's my job to try to figure that out. At the same time, the one thing what Larry was good at, the thing that I think, Jenny Remedies was good at, the thing that Arvin's good at was actually when if the solution or the offer wasn't where it needed to be, holding the team accountable for that. I don't need to do that as a marketer. It's not my job. It's the job of leadership to kind of hold each team accountable for what they're supposed to be accountable for. And it doesn't build trust, I think, at all if any of the people in any of the teams is using the other team as a reason that they are not successful. And one of the things that I truly admired about Larry is that, it didn't matter who the team was, marketing, sales, development, HR, finance, none of us were using any other team for reasons why we weren't successful. If we weren't successful as a company, that was collective lack of success. And when we were successful, it was a collective success. And so we were always just of the mode of trying to figure out what was the part that we play, do our part the best that we can, and how do we help the whole organization. And I think that in and of itself built trust, because I do believe that, I mean, you can have a broken product for a year. I mean, but for the most part, I think people were allowed to try to fix the things that they could, and they were given the latitude and the time to do it. And just having that understanding gave people a real opportunity to kind of lean in to solving the problems that were in their remit or under their wheelhouse. And that was just very helpful, quite frankly. And I think any team, when I look at each of the companies that I've worked for, the teams that I've worked with, those are some of the, I think, when teams perform best, everyone feels like they're in it together and they don't feel like they're being whether blamed for success, not when I say blame for success, or blame for things that maybe not be working. And that also, when success happens, that the kudos are passed around equally. I think that's just really important.